Hey guys, thank you for coming back to Snejana's Life. This is Snejana. I want to do a quick video about when cops have to arrest their friends. Like, that would be super awkward, right? Your buddy's a cop and you're like, okay, like, maybe, you know, they'll give me a free hookup, you know, by going lenient on me. So I'm really curious to see, like, how about people have to, or the cops have to go about arresting their friends because of the situation. Like, this situation would be really tough, I think. This is a video by Dr. Insanity. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
Cops are usually dealing with people and criminals they've never seen before. But what happens when instead it's their own friends that they have to arrest?
Ain't nobody jumped out, Buck.
Yes, they did, Kevin. Did they not?
Stay out of this, Kevin.
Here are 3 examples of this happening, starting with the case of Buck Preston.
Buck,
What?
you know you ain't got.
Damn, Michael.
You know you ain't got a driver's license.
Don't do this, please.
I got to.
Man, God.
Oh my gosh, it's the man's best friend, y'all. And he goes, as soon as he realized it was Michael, his best friend, he was like, oh crap, I'm busted. Like, he knows he has to do this. If he wants to keep his job, like, he knows he has to do this. And his friend knows that he has to do this too. So this is just a really shitty situation for this guy, right? It's a shitty situation for both of them, honestly. So, yikes.
God damn, Michael. Please.
I got to.
No, listen to me.
No.
Please, just listen
Sheriff
to me.
sent me.
The sheriff.
Sheriff, captain. I mean, they've seen you driving. We gotta get you.
One of the cons to small town living is that everybody knows each other, including the cops. The town sheriff claims to have seen Buck driving his Chevy pickup, but nearly every cop in town knows he doesn't have his license. So what else is there for Buck to do to try and
Okay, this is what I don't understand. Like, you don't have a license. You live in a small town. Like, I live in a small town. I totally get it, right? And you're driving around without a license. I understand, because you still got places to be. You still got work to do. You got to pay your bills. And in some small towns, you don't have trains. You don't have Uber drivers. Like, you yourself have to get there somehow. If it's either a friend, yourself. So the situation is, it's a double-edged sword, right? About living in a small town. Everyone knows who you are, and they know your business. And, you know, small towns can also be really nice and peaceful, and you know everyone. Everyone's your friend just about. But when they know you don't have a license, like, that's when it gets sticky, because the sheriff was like, hey, I need you to go arrest your best friend because I've seen him driving. I wonder why he decided to have him do it and not another officer. Like, if the sheriff knew that they were best friends, why send him out? Is it to send him a message saying, like, hey, you know, because you're breaking the law. I don't know how many times he's done it before and other cops have arrested him. So this is like sending him a message being like, I don't care who I have to send, like, I'm going to send your best friend to arrest you because, like, you're not supposed to do this. There are rules. You got to follow the rules. And I don't know. I feel bad for this guy because I get it. I've known people that don't have a license and they still drive around because they have to get to certain places. They got meetings. They've got jobs. Like I said, you know, like, they got shit to do. So that's a shitty situation.
explain his way out of it.
I'm telling you, I'm just trying to tell you something. Listen, if you listen to me. The person that was driving this truck just jumped out of the fucking on goddamn Lake Morality, and goddamn, I had no other way to get it here, buddy. I swear to God, I'm not going to drive it no more. I promise you.
No, I got to.
God damn, Michael, please.
31 to 28. You 51 this way?
That's crazy, bro. I just passed it.
You just passed him?
Yeah, on 67. No, he didn't. I swear to God, he didn't. Michael, I just swear to God, if you listen to me, bro, I swear to God.
I'm about to right now, sure. If he's stating someone jumped out behind the wheel.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get my truck home. That's it.
But
bro, I swear to God,
you can't get a driver's license in the state of Florida, dude. That's how bad it is.
Buck's story is that his friend was driving his truck, but ditched him out near a lake, leaving him with no option but to drive back home himself. Unfortunately for Buck, though, we are in the 21st century, and the officer reminds him he could have just called someone with a license to drive him back, and that he still broke the law regardless of the circumstances. Predictably, Buck wasn't very happy about this.
I get it, but man, you still can't drive, bro. Pull it off the road and wait till someone has a valid license.
What?
Let's go.
That's crazy, dude. Would you tell him?
Let's go, Buck. I'm not playing this game.
What do you mean? I'm telling you the truth.
Nobody jumped out.
God damn it! I'm taking on your foot!
Why would you run? That's gonna give you another charge. Like, he could have just gotten out that same day, right? Like, for driving with no license. Like, I've known people that have gotten out the same day. And then they got to show up to court later. But now that he's doing this, like, that's going to make it even more difficult for his case. Because then it makes it look like he's guilty, right? I could be wrong. If I am wrong, please let me know. But just from the experiences that I've dealt with people in the past, this is not a good situation for him. It just got worse.
Man, I'm trying to tell you something.
Ain't nobody jumped out, Buck.
Yes, they did. Kevin, did they
Stay
not?
out of this, Kevin!
Did they not?
Kevin, back off.
Kevin, you stay out of this.
Did they not jump out?
Back off, Kevin.
God damn, dude.
I'm trying to get respect when you gonna run from me like that. Get up!
Despite the chase not lasting very long at all this did was add an extra charge to Buck's already fairly long list. And given how close everyone seems to be here, you just know this police chase is gonna be the talk of the town. Part of the struggle on the ground had to be cut, but
This is our son, Sebastian. In 2021, he took half a pill he didn't know was counterfeit.
the cops reported that Buck resisted so hard that they had to deploy a taser to make him calm down. The footage returns when Buck was fully restrained and handcuffed. Buck was taken to the officer's patrol vehicle and driven back to the station. Obviously angry, he decided to make the conversation on the way back personal.
I don't talk to you about your mom in this. This is,
I don't give a fuck if you talk to me about my mom or not.
leave my family out of this, dog.
All I'm saying is this. Would she be proud of you for sticking that fucking taser to me when I was not even resisting when you done that?
You ran, man. If you're gonna run and a cop has to chase your ass down and you're running, like, and then you're resisting arrest even more, they're gonna have to tase you, right? I mean, what are they supposed to do? Best friends, or not? You have to do that. Like, you gotta get the job done. Like, why would this guy try to say, like, hey, would your mom be proud if you had to tase me? Like, probably not. But she knows that if her son's a police officer, he's got to do what he's got to do. Like, that's what they're trained to do. You have to get a taser out if, you know, they're not cooperating.
You're resisting.
What the fuck out? What? You had me.
Yeah, that's why we had each other in headlocks. Whatever. Look, Buck.
Yeah.
Stop bringing my mom into it.
There's little information about what happened to Buck after this video, but it's likely he was charged with driving without a license and resisting arrest. There's an argument that Buck could also be hit with fleeing to elude an officer, but this is a felony that comes with a 5-year prison sentence. It's more likely the officer gave his friend the misdemeanor charge worth just a couple months in jail. It's unlikely the suspects in this next case got the same treatments though, as it wasn't just a civilian caught breaking the law, but also their cop friend.
Hello. How you doing? Reason I stopped you is your right brake light is out. Who do you work for?
So did you stop me because my right brake light is out?
Yeah.
Or did you stop me to ask me who I work for?
Well, I'm asking you both.
DCS.
What?
DCS.
DCS. What's DCS?
You don't know what
Department of Children's Services?
As he mentioned, the suspect named Petra Edgerton was originally pulled over for a broken brake light, but the officer quickly noticed something else, a police badge around Petra's neck. Firstly, this cop doesn't recognize the supposed officer, but it's also unusual to see a police officer driving around in a broken car. Something feels off, so the cop decides to investigate further.
See your license then? Do you have your badge on you? Like your ID badge?
ID badge for
Being a police officer.
See, this is what's conflicting. You're asking me all those questions.
Right.
Don't try to deflect. Like, he obviously sees a badge around your neck. If you have a badge, like, you should have all the necessary items that you can provide to the actual police officer who's asking for these. Like, don't be trying to say, well, you're confusing me with all these questions. No. Like, he's gonna get the answers one way or another. Like, stop deflecting.
Can't you stop me with my right brake light?
So, if you're a police officer, you understand what probable cause is, right?
So what's the probable cause?
Your right brake light's out.
My right brake light wasn't out when you followed me out of the gas station.
Yeah, it is. It's out right now.
The car wasn't even on when you followed followed me out of the
Doesn't
gas
matter. You're driving with a brake light out on the streets, so it's an equipment violation.
Followed me out of the gas station.
I saw it when you were pulling out.
At this point, the brake light issue is the least of the cops' worries. It's difficult to classify what exactly an off-duty officer is supposed to act like, but something about Pectra is triggering alarm bells for the cop. She's acting defensive, being closed off, and giving strange, vague answers to questions that a real cop would be able to answer. So it's time to quit the games and figure out exactly what's going on here.
Look, long story short, I just want to know who you work for.
And that's the issue. Why do you want to know who I work for?
Because I've never seen you around here before. You're not a police officer that works here.
You don't know who I am. If
That's
you
right.
said you never seen me.
Right. So, are you a police officer or are you not a police officer?
So because a black person walks into a store with a badge and a gun, it's an issue.
That has nothing to do with you being black. Are you a police officer or you're not a police officer?
Not a police officer.
You're not a police officer?
No.
So why would you go into Quick Trip and get free food with your badge and gun?
Because I'm an officer. You don't have to be a police officer to go in there. I've been doing it for 3 years.
So you're not a certified police officer.
It's not probable cause. It's a personal thing.
There are a dozen ways for a cop to prove that they work for a certain agency. For example, she could give the name of her department and supervisor and have the cop check the names with them. This would only take a couple minutes, and any real cop would know this, so the fact that she's getting defensive instead and turning this into a personal thing is a huge red flag. It's also clear that Pectra doesn't seem to realize what she actually did wrong.
Okay, the fact that she just admitted that she's been getting free food and free drinks at Quick Trip for the last 3 years is a little ridiculous. Why would you say that? Now, couldn't Quick Trip, couldn't they prosecute her or charge her for like all the free stuff that they've given her because they thought she was a police officer? I mean, I know the Quick Trips around where I live, I've seen them give the officers free food, or not free food, I'm sorry, like free coffees and stuff, but like the fact that this person has been getting it for the last 3 years and falsely saying it's because she's an officer, I'm kind of curious to see if she told them if she's a police officer or some sort of officer. That I really want to know, but she just dug herself into a hole, I think. If you think so too, like, let me know, because this is interesting.
Just minutes earlier, she was seen inside the store presenting her badge and gun to the cashier and walking out with free food. This isn't just cop impersonation, it's theft. So the cop needs to get to the bottom of this.
Did I steal from
Are you a, yeah, if you're not a police officer.
I did not steal from I went up to the register, spoke to the guy that works there, and told him I had his drink.
So you're presenting yourself as a police officer with your badge and your gun on the side.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
I do understand that. But my issue with you is, you've seen that. You say because you've never seen me before.
So who do you work for?
Me out of the store.
Who do you work for?
Just
Who is
answer the
DCS?
guy.
How long have you been working here?
12 years, 13 years.
How do you not know what DCS is?
There's, like I said, is it Department of Children's Services? What is it? Explain it to me.
I don't have to explain myself to you. If you're gonna give me a ticket for a tail light, you give me a ticket for a tail light.
Okay. You see your license?
Since he's getting nothing out of Pectra, the cop decides to call up DCS himself, and his suspicions get instantly confirmed.
Who's your supervisor?
What does that have to do with my brake light?
What it has to do with is you've told me you're a police officer or you're an officer for DCS. I've got DCS on the phone. They say you don't work there. So who's your supervisor?
It seems that the suspect knows at least something about policing, as she chooses to remain silent from now on. So the cop turns his attention to the passenger of this vehicle, who at this point hasn't said a word. When he asks for her ID, he gets a huge surprise.
I have one of your employees here, Brandy Green. She was with her friend, Pectra Edgerton. Brandy decided that she was going to give Pectra her badge and her gun to go into Quick Trip and get some food. So I pulled them over for a broken tail light. Pectra was driving. She had the badge on and the gun on. When I pulled them over, she identified herself as a DCS officer and then later admitted to not being a DCS officer. And your employee, Brandy Green, admitted to giving her the gun and the badge to go into Quick Trip to get the free.
Yo, I cannot believe these shorts from Fabletics are 2 for $24. Look at the shorts I used to wear to
free food.
After investigating just a little further, both Pectra and the actual cop, Brandy Green, admit to everything. Following the incident, Brandy resigned from her job at the DCS, and Pectra is facing felony charges for impersonation, carrying a sentence of up to 5 years in prison. There's many more examples of these cops that seem to just forget they also need to follow the rules, just like Corporal Scott Bertzik did on New Year's Day 2021. When Officer Brooke Shutterly arrived at the scene of a car crash, she realized it wasn't just her supervisor at the wheel, but a good friend of hers.
So, reached out for my lighter, slammed into his ass.
Cool.
Yeah, not really.
Not really. Are you okay?
Oh yeah, no, I'm good.
Your car's fucked up.
No, absolutely. Which I just fucking fixed.
Obviously, Brooke and Scott are familiar with each other, and curiously, Scott holds nothing back when describing exactly how the incident went down. It's clear that Scott is the one at fault here, so before going any further, Brooke decides to call back to the base to ask whether or not it's okay for her to be handling this incident.
This crash, Birdie, so come work it? Okay. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've worked a crash with one of us in it, so... No, he's not on duty. He's in his POV. I just didn't want there to be any, like, conflict of interest type issues. Alright, that was it. I just want to make sure. Alright, bye. Damn it, Birdie.
Brooke is given the go-ahead and told that there should be no issues with her handling this case, but that was before she noticed this.
You good?
Wait.
Huh?
Wait on his way.
He's not coming. Good?
Walking home, but yep, I'm good.
So, Birdie, you giving me some indicators?
Oh.
Listen.
Good woman.
Listen. Valdez is coming out just to... I'm not gonna lie to you about it.
She's on her way?
Yeah, she's on her way. I'm not really comfortable with this whole thing at all, but I'm not gonna lie to you about it.
Oh no, I don't mean to put you in that Indy. Yep.
From now on, you know how it goes. You can't consume anything, okay? Because right now you're being detained.
Wait, what?
It's obvious that Scott is under the influence of something, judging by his slurred speech, slowed reactions, and slight loss of motor control. Brooke is fairly sure he's been drinking. At this point, Scott is no longer her supervisor. He's just a suspect in a case, and what's more, he's drunk and likely on...
You guys, how much would that suck if you saw your supervisor get into a car, or not saw get into a crash or anything, but how much would it suck if you were a police officer and you responded to a call and it was your supervisor? Like, honestly, like, would that blow your mind? I think it would blow my mind more if it was because he or she were on drugs or alcohol. Like, this whole situation is crazy. Like, accidents do happen. Yes, your supervisor can be involved into an accident. Anything can happen. But when it's because they are under the influence and they're taught you can't be drinking and driving, you can't be doing drugs or all sorts of stuff like that. You can't be doing that when you're driving or right after you're done doing that stuff. Like, you gotta wait, man. Like, if you are too blasted to go home, call someone. Like, this is bad for him. Like, he's probably gonna lose his job. He's probably gonna go to jail for a little bit. I feel bad for the female officer that has to deal with this, because she is right. Like, that's super uncomfortable. You can just tell by the way she's saying stuff. Like, she is really uncomfortable. And I'm glad that another officer is on her way, because I would not want to see this situation handled without another officer near or right by her, because who knows? I mean, if you're her supervisor and oh shit, like, things just went south really fast, who knows what he could have done, right? Especially if he's under the influence. So, I don't know, man. I mean, that's why sometimes it's easier if you just stay put or ask for a ride. And I know that can be hard to do sometimes, but...
Unpredictable, a combination which can be incredibly threatening to a female officer.
Please don't make my life difficult.
I would never do that to you.
Okay, I'm very uncomfortable right now.
And I apologize for putting you in that position. Are you on?
Yes, I am. And I'm going to remain on for integrity. You know you can't smoke right now.
Why?
Because if I'm going to do a DUI investigation, it impedes it, so you can't consume anything. I want to get that dog. That is a really cute dog.
Fear aggression issue.
You can always train a dog. You can't consume anything. You're killing me.
Trying.
What's too late now?
After a short wait, another officer arrives at the scene, meaning they can finally start getting to the bottom of all of this with some sobriety tests. These lasted over 10 minutes, but it's not hard to tell how they went by just looking at a few seconds of them.
You may begin the test.
1, 2, 3.
Judging by this and the overwhelming amounts of evidence against him at this point, the officers thought it was safe to conclude that Scott had been drinking that night and decided it was time to put him in cuffs. Something he was far from happy about.
There's things that we can do to fix this, but
dude, that's tough to watch, especially like if you have to watch your supervisor cry and know that it's basically all done for him. It's crazy how just one second of a split decision can change your whole entire future. Like if he would have just thought about it for a split second and would have like, you know what, no, but probably shouldn't be driving, like I'll call someone or I'll just walk home, then things would have been very different and he would have been showing up to work the next day as a supervisor, right? But now we're in the situation to where he's gonna be probably on the local news. He's gonna get fired from his job. If he's married or has kids, like that's gonna be a tough pill to swallow. Having to go home and face your significant other or your kids and be like, you know, I messed up. I apologize. I'm gonna try to make it right. Man, that's a tough situation to be in. I feel bad for these guys that have to deal with this like almost daily.
It's got the hinge locks.
okay. Good to go?
Yeah.
Despite Scott being one of the most polite and respectful suspects ever on this channel, he was actually hit with a better sentence than the majority of criminal cops. After blowing a .156 back at the station, he was charged with driving under the influence and damaging property. He was ordered to pay just under $1,000 in fines, serve 50 hours of community service, and take multiple substance abuse and DUI classes, and had his driver's license suspended for 6 months. He was also sued by the driver of the vehicle
Okay, I'm sorry. Did he get all of that stuff because he was the supervisor? Because if that's the case, then that's really messed up. What about all the other people who are super polite and super fun and super talkative? Like, what do those people get? Just because they're civilians, right? So everyone else gets a really fucked up deal, but this guy over here, because he's really nice about the situation and because of the place that he works at and what his name tag says, like, for real? Like under $1,000? Like if I'm not correct, I think the amount would be over $1,000 on a normal situation like this, correct? If anyone knows what the amount would be, please let me know because I'm really curious. And what are like the normal charges for something like this? I have never dealt with something like this. The people that I've known that have had DUIs, I don't want to be nosy, and I don't want them to think that I'm trying to get into the business or anything, so I just don't even bother. But I'm really curious now, like what charges do people normally get after they have a DUI like this? Because I feel like this guy got a really fair shot, and that's not fair. Did he lose his job? Did anyone know about that? Does he still have his job? Is he still a police officer? Because it's going to be hard for someone to go back into that kind of line of work, and if he's not a supervisor, and if he steps down to be a police officer, it's going to be hard for people to respect him as a police officer, because they're going to be like, well, I just saw you on the YouTube video, like you were pretty fucked up, so how about we can both agree to disagree that I am not drunk, because you were clearly drunk that one time, you know, or just so many other situations could happen because of this. So, I don't know. But that's man.
He hit, and a cash settlement was reached. And on top of all of that, he also was suspended without pay for a week and given a last chance agreement, meaning one more slip up and he was out for good.
From the way we are, not cool. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, you guys. Well, that just answered my last question. Like, does he still have his job? Yes, he does. Okay, now people, please let me know this, okay? Please comment below. Have you known other supervisors who have gone through this similar situation and they got to keep their jobs? Have they? And if they have, do you think that they are still well respected? Do you think, because I don't get me wrong, I know people make mistakes, they they have second chances, and I'm super grateful for people who do get second chances. I really am. But I think when it comes to a situation like this, and when you're in the public like this so much, I think it makes people think less of you sometimes, because you do stuff like this. And or on the flip side, it could say, okay, yeah, he's human, like, he messed up. He obviously clearly knows he messed up. I'm really curious to see, though, if he is still in the situation. Like, if he's still as a supervisor, or did he have another mishap? If anyone does know that, please let me know, because this is interesting. But anyways, I just wanted to do a really quick video about that. I saw that, and I was like, ooh, this looks like it's a fun one to do. But that's my thoughts, my feelings about this whole situation. Well, part of them at least. But you guys have a great day, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.